Love is the quiet engine behind every choice, every dream, and every moment that carries us through life. For George Strait, love has been both compass and anchor, shaping the man, the musician, and the family man he became. Millions of fans have sung along to his songs, from Amarillo by Morning to Troubadour and Check Yes or No. But few know the full story of the life he built beyond the stage. Behind the smiles, the sold-out arenas, and the #1 hits, George's life was shaped by dedication, devotion, and quiet endurance. Through joy, heartbreak, and all the ordinary moments that make life meaningful, he remained steadfast to his music, to his family, and to himself. Ranch Roots. George Harvey Strait was born on May 18, 1952, in Poteet, Texas, a small town where the sky stretched wide and community mattered. He grew up on his father's 2,000-acre cattle ranch in Big Wells alongside his older brother, Buddy. Life on the ranch was hard but honest, filled with chores, long days, and lessons in perseverance. George learned early the value of work, responsibility, and patience, lessons that would stay with him long after leaving the open fields. When his parents divorced in 1961, George's mother moved away, and he and Buddy were cared for by their father, John Byron Strait Sr., a high school math teacher and ranch manager. Though the change brought challenges, it instilled resilience, self-reliance, and a deep respect for family, qualities George carried into adulthood. A quiet love for music entered George's life quietly, like a soft breeze across the Texas plains. In high school, he and Buddy formed a small rock band, performing at local gatherings and parties. The music was rough, but it stirred something deeper in George, a sense of connection, joy, and purpose that even the wide-open fields couldn't provide. The discipline of ranch life shaped his work ethic, but music offered freedom, a space where his voice could reach beyond fences and fields. Even then, George felt that the stories and melodies he loved so much might one day define his life in ways he could not yet see. Early love and duty. While the open fields shaped his youth, adulthood brought new responsibilities and new love. In high school, George met Norma Voss, a bright and compassionate young woman. Their connection was immediate, deep, and enduring, leading them to elope in 1971 to Mexico. On December 4, 1971, they married, beginning a partnership that would endure decades of both joy and challenge. Shortly after, George entered the United States Army as an engineering clerk, serving from 1971 to 1975 at Schofield Barracks in Hawaii. While stationed there, George and Norma welcomed their first child, Jennifer Lynn, in 1972. Fatherhood added purpose and meaning to George's life, giving him a reason to dream beyond the ranch and beyond the music he was only beginning to explore. Music in the Army. It was in Hawaii that George discovered the music that would ultimately define him. He joined an Army-sponsored country band called Rambling Country, performing for fellow soldiers and discovering the thrill of connecting with an audience through song. These performances revealed a truth he could not ignore. Music was not just a hobby, it was a calling. The stories and melodies spoke to something deep within him, something ranch life alone could never fulfill. When his service ended in 1975, George returned to Texas, carrying both his young family and a dream that refused to fade. Balancing music and life back in Texas, George enrolled at Texas State University to study agriculture while performing with his band, the Ace in the Hole Band, at local venues. Days were for classes and chores, nights for music, a delicate balance between practicality and passion. Trips to Nashville offered glimpses of possibility, but also rejection. as record executives dismissed his traditional country style as outdated. By 1979, the pressure of long nights, modest pay, and repeated setbacks weighed heavily. Yet Norma's unwavering support reminded him that his talent mattered, and that encouragement convinced him to keep going, a decision that would change everything. The breakthrough. In 1981, George met Tony Brown at MCA Records through a connection with a club owner. Brown recognized George's talent immediately and signed him. His debut single, Unwound, soared to number 6 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart. That same year, George and Norma welcomed their son, George "Bubba" Strait III. As his family grew, so did his career, blending personal joy with professional promise. For George, music was never just about fame. It was about connecting, storytelling, and living honestly through the songs he loved. Heartbreaking loss. By 1986, George Strait had reached heights most artists only dream of. Yet life would ask more of him than charts or awards ever could. His daughter, Jennifer Lynn, passed away at the age of 13 in a single-vehicle accident. The loss devastated George and Norma, leaving a void that would remain with them forever. Friends and fans could only imagine the depth of their grief. In time, George learned to channel that sorrow into his music, allowing the stage to become a place where his heart could speak, even if the words were unspoken. Through it all, Norma remained his anchor, guiding him with love, strength, and presence. Continued loss and resilience. Life continued to test George's resilience. In April 2009, his brother Buddy passed away. Shortly after, his mother, Doris, died. And in June 2013, his father followed at the age of 91. Each loss reminded George of the fleeting nature of life and the importance of family, love, and devotion. Though the grief was immense, it never broke him publicly. Instead, it deepened his artistry, adding honesty, emotion, and authenticity to every song he sang. Through decades of touring, recording, and performing, George Strait demonstrated that resilience is often quiet, expressed not in words, but in actions, in enduring love, and in living fully despite hardship. Silent endurance. Throughout his career, George balanced fame with a deeply private life. The world knew him as the king of country, yet few saw the quiet endurance that underpinned his success. Loss, grief, and the passage of time became part of his story, shaping him without defining him. Music became the vessel through which George could express feelings too profound for conversation, a bridge between his heart and the hearts of listeners. Even at the peak of his career, his humility, integrity, and devotion to family never wavered. A lasting legacy. George Strait's life is defined not just by records or awards, but by authenticity, resilience, and love. Across more than 4 decades, he revitalized traditional country music while staying true to his roots. His achievements are unparalleled: 60 #1 singles, a top 10 hit nearly every year for over 30 years, over 70 million albums sold in the U.S., multiple CMA and ACM Entertainer of the Year awards, and induction into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2006. His music resonates because it is born from real experience, and his influence stretches far beyond charts, awards, or commercial success. Giving back even with fame, George never lost sight of family and community. Through the Jennifer Lynn Strait Foundation, he honors his daughter by supporting children's causes across Texas. His work reflects the values instilled during his ranch upbringing: responsibility, compassion, and service. George's life shows that personal loss can become a force for good, allowing us to create meaning and make a positive impact on the world around us. triumph on the stage. George's connection with fans has never wavered. In 2024, over 110,000 people attended a single performance at Kyle Field in Texas, setting a U.S. record and highlighting his enduring popularity. His 31st album, Cowboys and Dreamers, proved that even decades into a career, he could still touch listeners authentically. Recognition continued in December 2025 with the Kennedy Center Honors, celebrating not only his music, but the life, values, and heart he brought to it. The man behind the music. George Strait's story is one of quiet perseverance, devotion, and authenticity. He reminds us that talent and fame do not shield anyone from life's losses, and that true strength often manifests in the ability to endure privately while continuing to love and create openly. As a husband, father, and artist, George demonstrates that success is measured not just by charts or accolades, but by the depth of love, the courage to face hardship with grace, and the choice to live fully on one's own terms. Reflection and inspiration. Even in his quieter years, George Strait inspires. Fans return to his music not just for the melodies, but for the honesty behind them, the joy, love, and resilience embedded in every line. His story teaches that life will bring both joy and hardship, but staying true to oneself and prioritizing what matters most can create a legacy that endures far beyond any award or chart. A life well lived, George Strait's journey, from the wide-open Texas fields to the world's stages, illustrates the power of love, endurance, and authenticity. His music, family, and dedication to others reflect a life fully lived. The trials he faced, from personal loss to the pressures of fame, never diminished his humanity, humility, or generosity. Instead, they enriched his artistry, creating songs that resonate with listeners across generations. A question for fans. As we reflect on George Strait's story, it becomes clear that his music is only part of what makes him remarkable. Beyond the awards, records, and fame, there is a man who loves deeply, endures quietly, and gives generously. Perhaps the question for all of us is, what do you admire most about George Strait beyond his music? His resilience, his devotion to family, or the way he channels life's challenges into art? It's a story of love, perseverance, and authenticity. A life that continues to inspire.